Welcome back to the weighing room, brought to you by the Winners Enclosure. You're joined with myself, Hannah, and Frankie, and we're going to be taking you through another exciting weekend of racing. We're going to be heading to Newbury, Warwick, Punchestown and Exeter. Well, we're going to be virtually heading because sadly we won't all be going to all four places on the weekend, but we've got lots to get through. 12 races we're going to be looking at in total. Just a quick brief chat about last weekend, an exciting weekend. Frankie, you were over for the Dublin Festival, weren't you? I mean, it looked tremendous on screen. I can't even imagine the atmosphere that was going on. It looked electric.
Yeah, it was class.
There's so many highlights going on. Honeysuckle, of course, performed how we definitely wanted her to, and I said it last week. She's the companionship is a fantastic image for racing. So I'm so pleased that they won again. But yeah, just tell us quickly what the atmosphere was like. It looked incredible.
Yeah, it was. First big one back for racegoers in Ireland, so they were buzzing. I think they beat crowds for 2019 and 2020, so the last ones that were on before it was off due to COVID. Everyone was in good spirits, and on the Sunday we had plenty of short price favourites win, which always helps. I think last week we covered 13 races and the Winners Enclosure had 9 of them, so they did very, very well. Me and you 6 apiece, which isn't bad going, half of what we went through. So hopefully this week we can pick out some more. I think it's slightly more competitive and we're covering a few big fields and a few handicaps, but we will do our best across the 4 cards we're looking at.
We will indeed. So we're going to kick off with Newbury, the 1:15, the Betfair Cheltenham Broadcast Novices Limited Handicap Chase. Now, Frankie, I think again you're going to have to, unless I can get it up. Let me just quickly get it up. The Winners Enclosure picks. Yeah, I've got it. Okay, so my pick for this race is Brave Man's Game, and it's the Winners Enclosure as well. An exciting horse. It's always exciting to see this horse. I mean, since going chasing, as we know, he's unbeaten in all his chasing starts. Recently, I'll just mention, of course, we know that the yard has been in the headlines, about all the horses. But all the feeds have been tested, and Paul Nicholls has said, the whole story is blown out of proportion. And I think that actually when all the headlines have been taken over, I think I know he hasn't had as much winners, but I read in an article, January is not a massive time for him racing anyway. So I think when people are going, but this and that, I just think you can't.
Yeah, it happens every year with Nicholls, doesn't it? They get their jabs. Yeah. He has a couple of weeks where a few off weeks, but he knows it's coming, and then I think he's said a few times now he's back into full swing, and I bet he will be for this meet. He's got Brave Man's Game, Clanders Over, Hitman. I bet he will be ready for this.
And the thing is, as well, as soon as he gets some winners, it'll all be forgotten about. But I just think people end up going like, and it's not that bad. But anyway, moving on. Brave Man's Game. It's so exciting to see this horse. I mentioned it before, actually, when I spoke about this horse. When I saw this horse in the flesh, you just get, the horse is so incredible. It's physique, it's muscle, everything. And, especially, that's why I say to people, you have to go racing to see them in their full form and exactly what they look like, because obviously you can't get the full swing of it on the TV. He was great to watch. That's when I was there on Boxing Day at Kempton. Novice was in the lead, and then he just came cruising through to win when Harry Cobden put his foot down. He won by 7.5 lengths. Now, Brave Man's Game, he's got good form at Newbury. Actually, out of all his races, including when he was over hurdles, the most races he has won are at Newbury, so that's all in good form. He's ran with bigger fields earlier in his career, but since he started over fences, it's always been in smaller fields. So it's I can't wait until there's a massive field to push him on forward and see how he gets going, because he's great already. So a bit more competitiveness it's going to be absolutely electric. We've already seen him win at various distances, longest distance being his best. He's a great horse. I'm so excited to see him run again. He's the best in the field, the highest race. I'm just going to quickly just get the form up on him. You just look at his form and he's just fantastic, especially over his chasing career since his debut, his 4 runs. So yeah, no doubt he's going to win again. I can see why he's already, did you say he's evens now in the market already? He's a great horse. I'm going to stop talking about him because I'm sure you're going for him as well. I will hand it over to you. What is your pick?
It is brave man's game. Hard to oppose. Obviously, got a win off of top weight and a handicap, but there's not much in behind, is it? I was saying there was a bit of evens knocking about. I'm actually looking on my screen now, and there's 15-8 apparently at one point. I'm not sure who priced that out, probably before declarations were out. But early this morning, you could still get even money, which I think was a great bet. Now it's 8-11, and come the day it will be even shorter. But yeah, should be a formality really winning this. Pat's Fancy might be the only slight danger. Won a class 3 really well last time out, but all these horses in behind have been running in class 3s, 4s. They're stepping up, they've gone up in weight, and they're running behind a monster. It's brave man's game. So yeah, I think the three of us can all agree that brave man's game should be winning this race.
So next we go to the 150. That is the Betfair handicap hurdle. The winners enclosure are going for Polish or Polish. Is it Polish or Polish? I think
that's a bit of a thing on Twitter, isn't it? Nobody knows.
It's one of those words, isn't it? I'm going for Butler's Brief. Now, hear me out here. Hear me out. Let me just get the number of words.
Price? Butler's Brief, 18-1.
So, my thoughts on this horse. Okay, Nick Scoville rides. He's out of Yates. His last 2 races, he was pulled up on. Now, the last time out, he was tried over fences. He was pulled up in the handicap hurdle at Doncaster. He wasn't fluent. He nearly unseated the rider, and he was pulled up. Fair enough. Don't do damage. Now, Newbury is one of the fairest courses for gallopers, and he's finished a couple of races at good speed. So you've got the big breakaway, which is top weight, and then Butler's Brief carries 10 stone 7. He has no form at Newbury. It's his first time there, but I think it's a good course. Like I said, it's one of the fairer courses, so I think it would do him quite well. The ground will suit him, and Nick Scoville has had obviously previous success on him, and I do think he's got a good chance, and I think he's a little bit unexposed in this race as well. And I just think, like I said, I know he was pulled up in the last 2 races, but you could just write those off. And the last one, like I said, was a chase. Obviously didn't suit him as well, so he's back over hurdles. But before this, last season, he'd won his last 3 races before the end of season. That was twice at Worcester, and the last one of the season was Bangor on D. I do think he's got a good chance, and I just feel like he could be a bit underestimated. And I am going to go a bit rogue this week, but I do like the look of this horse, and I just think if he goes well, and Nick's on board, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like I said, he's ridden this horse many a times. He might have a good chance. So I am going to go a little bit rogue here, and I'm going to go for Butler's Brief.
18-1. Well, Nick's in great form. He's riding a lot of winners at the moment, so it's not a better man to be on board. I'm going to take another chance on What's Up With You for the Ben Pauling team. I tipped this up at Cheltenham, and it came 6th. But that was quite a competitive Class 2 handicap. Kansas City Chief, Botox has our approval, all horses that have been running well in handicaps recently and at Cheltenham. It's been dropped £5 for that. So it was running at Cheltenham off of 130, goes here off of 125 in another Class 2 handicap. It was staying on well as well. I think that's the point that kind of pushed me to have another go, is it was staying on well up the hill. And in these staying races, I think if you see a horse staying on well in any race, and then it goes over further, it bids in its favour. But to do that and going up the hill at Cheltenham, I think it adds that little extra in its favour and pushes me towards thinking that it could actually win here over 3 miles. So I am going to take another chance. I tipped it up last time, it only came 6th, but it's gone slightly down with its handicap mark. It's going over slightly further. And I think this is probably less competitive than Cheltenham. So What's Up With You will be my pick.
So now we go on to the 1425, the Betfair Denman Chase. My pick for this one is Clandazobo, who's currently evens on the market, and the winners enclosure are going for the same. He's a great horse. My mum was really disappointed when we were at Kempton. That was her pick in the King George, and he was beaten by William Mullins' Outsider. So obviously had no chance after that 9-length win. He was out-battled previously by stablemate Secret Investor by a neck last year in this race. and it would have been the second win for him in this race. He's a multiple Grade 1 winner in both Ireland and here at 3 miles. Now, Royal Pagaille,
Yeah, Royal Pagaille.
For Venetia Williams, like I nearly took a chance just because she has great
horses. An interesting one.
Yeah, and I just think that's going to be, you know, a big threat, and a horse on top form. So's the yard. You've got Charlie Joyce riding. This horse likes the heavy ground. It's won plenty on heavy. Royal Pagaille. Rain isn't scheduled at Newbury until 5 p.m. So we've got, you know, for ground wise, I think anything's going to change. It's going to be nice weather until Saturday, but that would be the only one that would turn my head. But I just think, yeah, for me, I don't think you can go wrong with this horse. At the market at the moment, it is evens. He's a great horse, and you know, you look at his form and he's brilliant. He's up against previously some of the most fantastic horses, and yeah, you know, like I said, second in the race last year, previous winner, knows this race well, knows this track well. I think you can't go wrong. What is your pick, Frankie?
Yeah, the same. Oh, let me turn that off, getting a call. The same thoughts, really. It's hard to take on Royal Pagaille. Won very well last time out. And when it has won, it's looked very, very impressive. If it was a bog, I'd probably side with Royal Pagaille. Especially that's last win, carrying top weight to win like it did. But, you know, you look at Clan des Aubers, you look at the form over the years, you know, second in a weirdly ranking George. It's won a Punchestown Gold Cup. It was second in this last year. Beaten some top horses. It's got to be, you know, I think you'd be mad not to go with Clan des Aubers in this race. So Royal Pagaille, you know, could win. I'm not saying it won't, but I'd like to see a lot heavier ground. And I think the safe bet is definitely with Clan here.
Yeah, indeed. Royal Pagaille's best form is on heavy ground. So, like I said, it's going to be the ground at the moment at Newbury is good to soft and no rain schedule. So I think it's going to stay that way. But, you know, it's always that team is always, for me, a head turner, you know, just have to. But anyway, we move on now. We are going to go for the 3 o'clock, which is the Betfair Exchange Game Spirit Chase. Now, this race, I'm not joking you. I was just, yeah, it's a good one. I was just staring at the screen because I just feel like it could go any way. So I am going with Sue, which I think, actually, let me just double check. No, the winners in closure are going for Hitman. So I'm going with Sue Royal. I think it's Royal, isn't it? Sue Royal. No, there's no E on the end. Goes for another win, hopefully, this year. Was runner-up to Altior in 2019. Twice he's been a not far away second to Altior, who of course is an incredible horse. Now, with his last run at Cheltenham, I was reading up online that they were saying that, you know, it was a mistake running him at Cheltenham. He was 6 from 7 in that race. But this time he goes in good form. They're pleased with how he's going. In the most recent years, they've started him over hurdles in his season and then moved on to chasing. I think that's done him quite well. We can see from his form he goes well fresh, and he has had a 63-day break from his last race. So no problems there. He's got form at Newbury. Like I said, he won last year, so it's going to be a familiar race for him. Like I said, first opening this thing, I think it's going to be such a close race. And actually, in the beginning, I was umming and ahhing. But then the more I wrote, the more I was like, yes, I'm going to side with him. He is the oldest in the race, got a lot of experience, and I think he'll go well. But I am having a flutter on Editor G, who I also think will go well, looking to currently be about 6-1 on the market. So that's one I'm definitely looking out for. I think it's going to be a great competitive race.
It will indeed. You've gone for Royale 11-4. I'm going to go for Fernambull Savola 11-4. The winners in closure, they've gone for Hitman. Am I right? 3-1, 11-4. So there's 3 at the top of the market, all around the same price, and rightly so. It's hard to pick between them. Royale, like you said, seems to just turn up for the important chasing races and then enjoys his time over hurdles. Hitman's probably more the up-and-coming horse. I can't have the form behind Grenadine. I've never been, you know, I know the horse won the Tingle Creek, but especially after the way Shacken demolished it over in Ireland this weekend. I've never really had that horse down as a top class horse. I think it was not lucky. Bryony Frost gave it a great ride and right place, right time to win the Tingle Creek. But I wouldn't say the Hitman's form behind Grenadine is too special. And I think maybe the rating of 165 been carried away there. So I'm going for the Venetia Williams. I think it'd be hard to get through this card without having a Venetia Williams horse. And this is the race I'm going to side with her. Been running mainly in handicaps. And it's won off top weight, I think, twice in pretty decent handicaps. It's beat Eldorado Allen, who beat Hitman. And if you keep going back far enough, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, where's it down to Aintree or Sandown? If you keep going back far enough, you meet Shishkin. And actually gave a decent run behind Shishkin, who, as we know, is a superstar and Champion Chase odds-on favourite right now. So I am going to go with this Funambule Savola for Venetia Williams, based off of its form in handicaps. It's beaten Eldorado Allen, who's beat Hitman, and it wasn't disgraced behind Shishkin.
It came second to First Flow as well, and I think First Flow gave that race against Shishkin an absolute cracking shot. Okay, so we're now going to move on now to the 3:35. Staying at Newbury. The Betfair Hurdle is a grade 3, Britain's richest handicap. Soaring Glory won the race last year, who is top weight this year. Now, my pick for this one seemed to be jumping around the market a bit, because when I looked earlier, it wasn't actually as big a price as it is, but it is now. I'm going for, looks to be about 7-1, Nappers Hill, the 6-year-old for Paul Nichols. The winner's enclosure, let me just double check. What are we on? 3:35 is going for JPR1. Who looks to be second favourite across the board at the moment. So Nappers Hill, a very progressive novice hurdler who really could come through here. Last seen at Ascot when John Bond maintained his polished starts and won the novice hurdle. He's had a great start to his hurdle season already. His hurdle debut at Cheltenham, he won by length at 2 miles on good ground. He jumped well and was quick over the hurdles, which I really liked about the horse. Paul Nichols said that this has been his target for a while, and it's a common thing for the team to aim their novices at this race if they feel they're well handicapped. He's marked at 135 for this race. Now, previously, Nappers Hill, he's beat Stage Star in bumpers last year. He went on, Stage Star went on then to win Grade 1 at Newbury as well. He is inexperienced, so it might cost him, and I think that obviously, of course, is going to be why he is a bigger price. But they, from what I've read, they've done a lot of prep work with him, and they're really pleased with him. And of course, you've got a trainer who knows his stuff extremely well. So I think he's going to go well. And that is my pick for this race, Nappers Hill.
I nearly went with the same, I nearly did. This is a good race, a very competitive race. I was looking at about 4 or 5 here, Nappers Hill being one of them. I settled with Boot Hill.
Okay. 10 to 1.
Bowen is riding, around 9, 10 to 1. It's only ran 4 times. A bumper, which it won. A hurdle race, which went off 4 to 6 and won. A hurdle race where it went off favourite and came 3rd to Soaring Glory, who obviously won this race last year. And then they took the horse chasing straight away. And that's kind of why I'm interested in it coming back into this hurdle race. It didn't jump very well. Again, it went off odds on favourite. It went off 5 to 6. And when I was at Newbury before it ran at Exeter, it was also entered into a chase for its first chasing start and was a non-runner, but was also odds on favourite again. So there's been plenty of backing for this horse, and they think a lot of it. I'm just quite interested that they've chucked it in this race after maybe they've decided not to put it over fences because it didn't jump that well, or maybe because they can get away with a half decent mark. Runs off of 135 here. And I think that's a very fair mark considering its potential. It hasn't proved a whole lot. It's only ran 4 times. But given its potential in behind Soaring Glory and the fact that it's been well backed for some decent races, it could be quite a handy mark. So I'm taking a bit of a chance, really. Just interesting that they did try chasing early on and have jumped straight into this handicap hurdle.
Yeah, so it's that 14 declared to run in that race. It's gonna be a nice juicy race, plenty in there, and actually, hopefully, we could have a nice big winner if they come in.
Mm.
So that's good. But now we're going to move to Warwick. I will hand it over to you, Frankie. We are going up the country.
We are to the Virgin Bet Warwick Mares Hurdle, a listed race with the winners enclosure selection being Indefatigable, which is also going to be mine and not much of a price. It's 4 to 5. I think it's a deserving favourite. You know, this horse, where did it come in the mares at Cheltenham? Fourth in the mares hurdle at Cheltenham. It's ran in, you know, some of the strongest staying races behind Time Hill and behind Paisley Park. I actually beat Paisley Park up at Wetherby and won well when I was there. Did get spanked last time at Newbury behind Thomas Darby and Paisley Park, but it's the horse with the best form. It's the horse that's been running in the best races, and you know, if you ignore a few mishaps, consistently it does turn up and run well in these staying hurdle races. So I think, you know, it's not much of a price at 4 to 5, but it's deserved favourite. The only one I'd be worried is White Hot Chili Filly, but more so if the ground starts to go softer. Indefatigable has done its best work on good soft, or don't think it's run a good ground, but White Hot Chili's had some decent performance on softer and heavier ground. So that might be one to worry about. But I think 4 to 5, Indefatigable, it's proven as a good staying hurdler, and it hopefully wins. What do you think?
So I'm going very rogue. I am going the biggest price on the market. I'm going for Get a Tonic.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, 6-year-old for Dan Skousen. You know I love the yards, and I love the fact that they're always pushing these horses into the. I don't mean push like forcefully, but like they're always putting these horses in the races, because you don't race them, you don't know. And to be honest, you've got Harry Skousen on board. That's another winner for me. Had a good season with Harry. Won her maiden at Leicester by 7.5 lengths on the 15th of October. Beaten last time out in the listed novice hurdle at Cheltenham on New Year's Day, 13 lengths behind the winner. She is the youngest in the field. She is the least experienced. I can see why she's the bigger price. I'm just taking a chance. I mean, look, it's a massive chance. You only got 4 in the race. It's not the most competitive, but it's going to be a good challenge for her. And to be honest, it's going to be nice to see how she gets on and where she's going to go next. You know, I've written brief things about Unforgettable, and to be honest, it's probably the best option. But yeah, top of the market, who won the Grade 2 Betfair Hurdle at Wetherby in October, but then underperformed in the next Grade 2 at Newbury, 47 lengths behind 7 to 1 winner Thomas Darby. Yeah, I am going to go for Get a Tonic. I just think
take your chances.
I just take my chances. I like the yards, and I think sometimes they have horses that really come through when you'd least expect it. So yeah, I'm gonna go for my 10 to 1. Get a Tonic.
Can't knock it. The horse doesn't know its price either, eh?
Well, there you go.
Next one, we're on to the 205 Kingmaker. This is a race. Forgive me for looking only at the top 2. It's actually only a 4-runner field. But Edwardstone, a third time lucky. That is the clash that we're all really looking for, and a real exciting race. Edwardstone's priced up 10 to 11, third time lucky 2 to 1, and then you've got 9 to 2 and 18 to 1. The winners enclosure selection is favourite Edwardstone. Mine is as well, but probably, well, I don't think it's a race for betting, and I definitely don't think it's a horse to be backing at 10 to 11 with third time lucky in there, who was very impressive when started chasing at Cheltenham. I said maybe we got carried away with this horse, and it shut me up and won very, very well last time out. They have met before, and Edwardstone beat third time lucky, but they tried slightly different tactics on third time lucky that day. They tried to take up the running. They front ran. Edwardstone sat in behind them, picked third time lucky off, and off it went. And third time lucky probably did most of the work for both the horses that day. What's interesting is if you ignore that, they have both beaten Do Your Job. And I would say third time lucky beat Do Your Job more easily than Edwardstone. So that does give me fears. I think I'm just clinging on to the fact that I haven't been the biggest third time lucky fan, and I have been a big fan of Edwardstone. So I'm sticking with what I've been saying. But as I said, I definitely wouldn't have them separated like they are in the market. I'd have them a lot closer, and I think it's hard to pick between the two. I'd say probably you're a third time lucky fan, Hannah.
Of course. Don't doubt me, of course. Yeah, so that is my pick, of course, for this race. Now, its last run, where we were discussing, you know, have we got too excited? I don't think so, because this horse is just fantastic. It's beautiful to look at, you know, a brilliant horse. It was, by the end of it, if you look at that last race, there's not really much you can look at, because you had For Pleasure falling, which made me feel sick when it fell. And then Third Time Lucky absolutely won with ease, just breezed in to the finish line. You can't say this isn't, sorry, you can't just start to pick holes in it, because it is a great horse. Very smart novice horse. He's proven plenty already. That run at Sandown, like you said, you know, he was run into the ground, and
yeah, they definitely won't be doing that this time, I don't think. It'd be interesting to see how, you know, who does take up the running and how the race pans out.
And the thing is as well, like, of course, if you don't switch up tactics, then you don't know how it's going to run. So now you've kind of had these like two ways of running this horse. You can see how it is going to run. And of course, as we get into, you know, even more bigger races, it gives you a better idea. But yeah, you know, it's going to be tricky. And I think at this stage, it's kind of a bit of a heart thing, like which one do I prefer, because it is going to be a very tricky race and it's going to be very exciting. And I think at Sandown, Edwardstone had that advantage, keeping a little bit in the tank and then just pushing forward. But anyway, Third Time Lucky, he cruises along lovely, he jumps really well. And this will be his first time at Warwick. All of his chasing wins are on a left-handed track, and Warwick is a left-handed track. So yeah, I think everything is going in the right direction for him. Like we keep saying, I think it is going to be very close. I do hope Third Time Lucky does win. I love this horse, and if I could write a list of what horses from the Dan Skelton Yard I want to meet, apart from Moolah Gold, Third Time Lucky is right up there. But yeah, just a quick brief thing on Edwardstone. So many impressive wins already. He's got 3 from 4 in his chasing starts. Another great horse. It's going to be a really exciting race. There's no rain scheduled, where are we now, at Warwick, until later on the Saturday. So the ground is probably going to stay roughly, I think it's a good to soft at the moment. But yeah, I am going with Third Time Lucky. I'm going to stop telling you how much I love the horse, and that is my pick.
A big clash for sure between the two. Next up, we are looking at the 315, the handicap chase, and quite or a bigger field at least. We've been looking at a few smaller fields, which is always frustrating. We like to have lots of horses running. The winners enclosure selection for the 315 at Warwick is Dinny Lacey, which is a bit of a price at 9-1. Robbie Power on board. A tricky race to pick one out in. I'm going to go with Cheddleton in this. And the one that was interesting that I first looked at was the favourite, the French horse. It's been running in lots of chasing races over in France, and then Philip Hobbs has got a hold of him, and he's won 2 hurdle starts here, and now comes in to a handicap chase. But I did settle with Cheddleton. Ran in very similar handicap chase races, and the form reads 3-2-2, all off of a mark of 149. Runs again off of 149, and has probably been unlucky to run into some decent horses. Editor de Gite at Cheltenham, I don't think much was beating that horse that day, and it ran really well there. And then also last time out, Claire Dinet, again, another horse running well at the moment. So I think it's been unfortunate. And even its third was only, it was close to being second. So it's nearly had 3 seconds on the trot off the same mark. It's knocking on the door for sure, and deserves to get its head in front. The thing that swayed me was this is slightly further than it's gone before. And again, similar story. The race where it's gone furthest, 2 miles, was at Cheltenham behind Editor de Gite, and it was staying on at the hill. It actually clattered the last a bit, which slowed it down, and it did make up some ground on Editeur de Gite. So given slightly further, and as I said before, I kind of use the Cheltenham Hill as a hint to if a horse will stay. I think this could be its time. It deserves to win. It's been very close last 3 starts, and it does go off the same mark. So I think a fair chance for Cheddleton. I'm quite keen on this. I'll probably have a bet on it.
Before I go on to my pick, I am just going to give a little mention to Amula Gold, just because
it's the horse of the podcast for you, this, isn't it?
I know, but I'm probably gonna have. Can you see the prizes up there? Because I think it's that big, I can't even see it on my screen. But I'm going to have a little flutter on Amula Gold. Its last run at Warwick came second, Sky Pirate. He goes well at a longer distance, and this will be up in trip for him. He's top weight, carries 11-12, and he wears cheek pieces. He had a big race not long ago, so we'll see how he goes. I was interested. Let me just see if it's still there. I think it's before the decks. No, it is there. Our Power I was looking at, but hasn't ran well on left-handed tracks. But my pick, which is the main thing I'm supposed to be talking about, is Cheddleton. I wrote this horse down for another race it was entered in.
You're in with me.
Yeah, I am. And I just think this is a great horse. It does like the heavier ground, though. I think most of its races it has won on heavy ground. And currently it's good to soft. So a little bit of rain actually wouldn't hurt it and push it along a little bit more. Last time out on the 27th of December, it came second to Eclair Danet. It was the beaten favourite. I think you've already mentioned this. Second to Editeur de Gite before this at Cheltenham, 4 lengths behind. Yeah, I really liked this horse. And then, you know, you can actually pick quite a few holes in the others as well, because there are things, you know, that I was in in, but I do like the look of this horse. It's up in trip for this horse as well. And he is, let me just have a look. Sorry, my thing's gone. Where is it gone? Come back. No, it's gone. Oh no, it's back. So yeah, he's second. He carries the second top weight, and I just think he has, like you said, I think he's got a really good chance. Looking at about 13-2 in the market, seems to be on mine.
Yeah, 6-1, 13-2, yeah.
So
good
yeah,
each way bet.
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance. His last win was at Haydock, and that was back in 2019 December. It was a Class 3 in the Betfair Novice Chase, and he was a second favourite, and he won by 6 lengths. I think that was on heavy ground as well, like I mentioned before. I really like this horse. I really do. But like I said, I did initially pick it out for another race, but if there was more rain, I'd be a bit more secure about it. But out of all the others that I was looking at, this would be the one for me.
2 of us in for Cheddleton in the handicap. We're going back over to Ireland and on to Sunday. We're going all over the country, or United Kingdom, and all across the weekend. The ones that we're looking at 2 at Punchestown. The first is another handicap chase at 240 over 3 miles, 4 furlongs. Ground is currently soft, but who knows, by the time we get to Sunday in Ireland, I'd say it might be maybe touching heavy. The winners enclosure selection for this race, they've given 2. Dilkir, which I don't have a price for, or Alpha Mix for Gavin Cromwell. I am going against both of them. If there was any race throughout all of the ones we've talked about, I'd say this is probably the hardest to find a winner in. My selection is the Big Dog. What a name. Is the Big Dog. In going slightly off of how it performs this time of year, it was going, I'm getting another call. It was going over hurdles. And when it started its chasing career, it did its best work January, February, and it actually won a decent race, a very similar race, Grade B 3 mile 4 in Feb. It might have even been the same race, Feb. No, slightly before. But did its best work January, February, a third one favourite, a first one favourite again. And then it just had a bit of a blip. And that blip has meant that its mark has slid back down from 147 to 144. So they've knocked £3 off. And really all it's done is had a little bit of a blip, went over hurdles, and was pulled up in its most recent start. Now, I know they're not exactly a form line that you'd like, a third, a 17th, and pulled up. It's not the strongest of form in its last 3 starts. But one's a hurdle race. One was finishing out the end of the year, and the other, let's put it down as an off day. And if you do go back to January, February last year, it was winning similar races and going well in similar races. So a bit of a chance. I think it will be probably quite a big price. Well, I haven't got a price in front of me. But the big dog I'm going with in this handicap chase.
The big dog. Well, I am going for the Dabbler. It's a horse out of presenting. His last run at Punchestown, he came 3 from 15 in the handicap hurdle, and that was in 2019. This season, it's ran with cheek pieces, and it appears to have sharpened him up a bit. It seems to be running a lot better. He won his first 2 outings. The seasonal debut, he won the beginner's chase at Ballinrobe, winning by half a length, carrying 11 stone 9. His next 2 outings, he came second in a field of 8 and then another field of 11. He has had a 77-day break. But looks unexposed in this race. He's only ran right-handed this season. He goes well. So when I had a little look, I just thought he's carrying, well, he's nearly the bottom weight. And I think, well, actually, I was going to say he's not a bad price. I can't even see the prices. That's a massive lie. But I think he looks to be a very good horse, and actually he's got very good form. Like I said, came second in the last 2 outings, and he won his 2 before on his seasonal debut. Last year, he didn't do too bad either. Not as good as this year. Especially this time of year, he came 7 from 12, but big field in these handicap races. He's not a bad horse. I mean, the worst he ran was back in 2020 in the August, and he finished last. And then he ended up he was a massive price, not looked much of, and then he's doing better and better. So I just think perhaps, especially with sharpening him up a little bit more, he's going to continue to do well. So yeah, I think he's unexposed in this race, and I think he will go well. So I'm going with the Dabbler.
Having a dabble on the Dabbler.
I am indeed.
And the last one, the second and the last one we're looking at Punchestown, is the novice hurdle listed race over 2 miles, at 3:10. The winner's enclosure selection for this race is Deploy the Getaway, for the Mullins team, who were a dominant force at Leopardstown last weekend. My selection is going to be Slip of the Tongue. Again, maybe one that is not the obvious. Largy debut, is running behind some good horses. It's the Bromhead horse, Deploy the Getaway is the Mullins horse in here. But Slip of the Tongue has only ran 3 times, but each of them has been quite a competitive race. It was second behind Saint Felician, which went on to come second itself, I think. Yes, in a grade 3 hurdle. And then it was third behind Quilixios, last year's Triumph Hurdle winner. So, although only 3 starts, it won its first. It was second behind a horse that nearly went on to win a grade 3. And then it was third behind our last year's Triumph Hurdle winner. So the form isn't half bad for an improving horse that's only run 3 times. And I think maybe looking outside of some of the more obvious names, this could have its fair chance. Slip of the Tongue.
I am, for this race, going for Deploy the Getaway, the Willie Mullins horse. This horse, it's only ran 3 times. It won its maiden. When was that at Navan? That was 18th of December. You've got, I think...
No, it's third, isn't it?
Third. So his first time out running, he was second from 19, then he was third in the field of 21, and then on the 25th of January, which was only a week ago, 2 weeks ago, then he won that race in the field of 15. So for me, you've got a fantastic jockey on board. You've got you've always don't know who's riding yet, but Paul Townend has ridden previously, brilliant jockey, and wouldn't surprise me if he rides his horse home. To me, it was a tricky one, but I think you can't go wrong with Willie Mullins' horse. He's got a phenomenal team. So for me, Deploy the Getaway looks to be a good horse. He's a 7-year-old. So, middle of the ages there, not too old, not too young. So, yeah, we'll see how he gets on. But I like the look of this horse. And I think he'll go well. And I think he'll be definitely one to look out for as well, if he runs well.
The getaways. That is Ireland done. And we have 2 more to finish back over to England on the Sunday. Exeter, we are looking at the 3 and the 4 o'clock. The 3 o'clock is the Virgin Bet Novices hurdle listed race, a class 1. And I think there is a potential star. Ignore the pun, mind the pun, in stage star, which is the winner's enclosure selection. It is mine, and I would probably take a guess it might be yours too. Last 3 starts has won every or all of them. 2 of them both at Newbury, which have been wildly impressive, and it just seems to be getting better and better. And I think all eyes will be on Stage Star for this race. Class 1 listed race over 2 miles. The way this horse travels is very impressive. Just looking at the ground, good to soft, shouldn't be a problem. It's one on good to soft and soft, so kind of covered all angles there. And yeah, it's looked very impressive so far, and I'm quite excited to see how this horse goes in what's only a listed race here.
I think
Are you going with it?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Stage Star, I am indeed. He's a very progressive horse, and I think he's just going to keep on improving, especially as he meets more experienced company. I think he has done trip up to listed. I think that's what I've written there. But yeah, I like the look of this horse. Let me just wait for it to load.
Yeah, slightly. That it's gone over 2 mile 3 and then 2.424. This is only 2 miles, so it might be slightly quicker. But
yeah, and you can't really go wrong with this horse, to be honest, can you? 3 wins already this season over the hurdles. He beat Nappers Hill in 2 bumpers last year. I just think he's going to get better and better. And let me see, is he top of the market?
I've got a price, but I'd imagine it'd be short.
Yeah, I should imagine so. So yeah, haven't really got much to add on that because you've basically said everything that I've written down. Progressed since we last seen him at Newbury, winning both his numbers hurdles. But yeah, his form looks great. It looks a cracking horse. So I can't imagine that he's not going to win it. So yeah, I'm sure.
All eyes on Stage Star for the 3 o'clock. The last race we're going to look at is a mare's chase. The winner's enclosure selection for this 4 o'clock race is Snow Leopardess, a horse that was very impressive at Aintree. And if you wanted a tough staying mare, this would be your one. That race at Aintree was an absolute bog. The weather was horrendous, and it got into a real battle and just got up by a nose to Hill 16. I think it was actually went to a photo finish and was very, very tight, but some battle. And as I said, if you wanted a tough mare, Snow Leopardess would be your one for a staying trip. I'm not going to go with it. I nearly did. I'm going to go with Chilly Filly instead. Form of a second, a first on its last 3 chasing starts. All of them, I think, have been listed races. Yes, listed. Only second to Silver Forever, who was on a hat trick and looks a smart horse. And I think maybe just that form in listed races might be slightly better than the handicap form of Snow Leopardess and some of these others. You never quite know. Snow Leopardess won that race at Aintree in a handicap. But how the weights work out when you come out of a handicap and into a listed race, it's sometimes hard to tell. And I'm going to take the form of Chilly Filly in the last 3 listed races over the handicap form of Snow Leopardess.
I'm going for Snow Leopardess. What a beautiful horse. I think it's Alice Plunkett's mother-in-law that bred this horse. Because I remember I was watching it on ITV and I remember her hoping it would come in, and it did. So she's in this race to hopefully boost her rating for the nationals. So I think I read some of the lowest rated last year was 145, but Snow Leopardess was 147. She's now gone down £2. So she's here. I was reading that Charlie Longson's spoken to the handicapper who has suggested to run her in this race, just in case she can't get away with 145. She may or she may not. But she's in great form already. She's had 2 fantastic runs, and I was reading that they couldn't be happier with her at home. Like I said, already had a great reason at Bangor and Aintree. Aintree on the 4th of December, I remember seeing how horrible that weather was. Like, what a disgusting day.
It was great.
Oh God, a 12 runner field in the handicap chase, and she carried 10-4, a thrilling race. And I remember thinking, I would hate to be riding in that weather because it was so tough. So I just think this is a really tough horse. She's a 10-year-old, but she's got lots of experience, and it just goes to show as well, you know, even when they do get older, you're not necessarily going to mean they're not going to do well. You know, she is a great horse, but yeah, she's since moving to fences. She's had great success, and I'm sure the success will continue. I do hope that she wins it, and I hope she wins in the national. I hope she comes home safe, but I really like this horse, and I'm looking for 2.
Snow Leopardess for you in the winners enclosure. That is all. That's 12 races we've covered on a busy Saturday or busy weekends racing. If you were looking through, would you have a nap?
My nap.
Without saying Brave Man's Game? That's a freebie, that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go for... You do yours first, and I'm going to do exactly what I did last week and choose now.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. I'm looking through. Clan Zobo, probably not. I couldn't be too confident with Royal Pagai. Funambule Savolo I liked, but competitive race. So I'm going to go with the one in the. I can't have a handicap. The obvious one's got to be Stage Star, hasn't it? If I wasn't going to go that, I'd go Cheddleton. I fancy that to win. The horse that has come third, second, quite impressively behind Editeur de Gite and runs off same mark. I'd have Cheddleton about 6-1.
The ones that I'm really okay, I'm not going to say really confident, but I'm really looking forward to running and see where they come. It is Butler's Brief. That's not my nap, but I'm just saying that I'm really looking forward to seeing that horse run. If it wins, great, because it's I think we were talking about earlier, it's a big prize. But my nap, it's a bit boring if I say the same as you, isn't it? I'm going to go with Snow Leopardess.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Snow Leopardess. That's going to be my nap for this one. Very excited to see. Who are you most excited to see? Because I'm most excited to see Brave Man's Game run, and if I have to pick another, it is going to be, of course, third.
Probably maybe that race. I'm at Newbury though, so probably Clan de Zobra, Royal Pagai.
Nice.
Quite looking forward to seeing how that turns out.
Come along.
Nice.
I'm not doing anything Saturday, so I might come along, which would be very exciting. But yeah, we've gone through a big selection of races there. We've been across the pond to Ireland and then back over here. But yes, hopefully we get some more winners this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and / podcast, and we will join you all next week.